what exactly is the sacrament of penance and reconciliation? By the way, the sacrament of penance and reconciliation is sometimes also referred to simply as confession, the sacrament of confession. Now, together with the sacrament of anointing of the sick, these two sacraments, the sacrament of penance and reconciliation and anointing of the sick, are described usually as sacraments of healing. So if the sacrament of anointing of the sick is mainly focused towards the healing of our physical bodies when someone is sick, of course also our spiritual dimension, our souls, the sacrament of penance and reconciliation is especially directed towards the healing of our souls, of our inner being. It's supposed to heal us really from sin. So the sacrament of penance is God's gift to us so that any sin that we might have committed after baptism can be forgiven. I'd like to repeat that. The sacrament of penance is God's gift to us so that any sin we have committed after baptism can be forgiven. And that is what should take us into asking ourselves a few questions about how the sacrament developed in the church. Why did it become so important in the history of the church to have this sacrament called the sacrament of penance and reconciliation? Now, in the early centuries of the church, there was a certain controversy that arose called the Donatist controversy, or if you like, Donatism. Now, what was the meaning of this? Now, a group of people in the church stood up and said, well, look, if somebody sins grievously, so the person is a baptized Christian, and the person has sinned grievously, let's say that he has gone to betray the Christians, and Christians have been killed because he has betrayed them. If that person has sinned grievously, or if maybe a priest or a bishop, if he does something serious, can he be forgiven? And this group of people said, no, it's not possible. Once he has been baptized and he goes to commit a very serious sin, he cannot be forgiven. But the church, in her wisdom, looked at this matter and said, no, actually, has Jesus Christ given authority to his bride, the church, to be able to forgive sins? And the answer of the church fathers was yes. Christ has given the authority to his bride, the church, to be able to forgive sins. In fact, before this time, many important people in the history of the church, because they were afraid that after baptism they might sin again, actually decided that they would not even be baptized. So many of them, including, we believe, the Emperor Constantine, were only baptized on their deathbed, because they said, what if I am baptized and I sin? Will my sins be forgiven after baptism? No. So this was the reason why the church needed to clarify the fact that Jesus Christ has indeed given authority to his church to forgive sins. And that is why the sacrament of penance and reconciliation was clarified. Even though it had always been a gift to the church, it was clarified in the early church and was taught as one of the sacraments.